a Dredfunn original production. Please sit back and enjoy.
Time for Dredfunn to paint a cookie or two using tea. Yes, my mighty tea. This is an activity that I actually did at my after-school program. Gonna try to reproduce this in a how-to video. Alright folks, here we go. Gonna sort of get some tea on here, and with no real drawing or pencil laid down, we're gonna start laying out some chocolate chip cookies. So basically we're gonna get the first one, a nice little round oval. Like I said, the kids had a lot of fun with this. You know, this is where I learned that when we're doing these tea type activities, it's good to let them dry. So I got one little cookie there. We're going to put another one here. Going to sort of make it appear like it's going to be sitting up on top of it, but I'm not actually going to make it touch because that would then bleed into the other cookie, and I want to be able to control both levels. So here we go. Just adding tea using watercolor paper and my Simmons round brush. I find with tea, it doesn't really matter much how what kind of brush you use. It tends to just go on a lot different than your standard watercolor paint. So, and I find that having these little lines and grooves in the watercolor paper really looks nice with the tea, and adds a nice little layer. So pretty much just going to do with that. I'm going to make sure that that dries fully, and then going to add some more layers to it. C is for cookie. That's good enough for me. Gonna move it in there. Alright, adding some more tea to my chocolate chip tea cookies. So I'm going to add a little bit right down this bottom side here. It's going to shade it up nice, especially right underneath here. I'll actually hit that with a little bit more tea there, because that cookie, when I add the final layers, is going to be all over the place. Now these aren't going to actually represent any chips. These are just going to dry in and sort of highlight like the little nooks and crannies that you get in a really nice crispy on the outside, chewy on the inside chocolate chip cookie. Alright, there we go. We're going to add some more tea to that area. Alright, it's going to bleed down. We're going to have a few of these there too. Like I said, they're going to be nice little nooks and crannies that once it dries out, it'll sort of steeple it, I guess, or stipple it. I don't know what the technical artistic term would be, but it'll look cool as two chocolate chip cookies. So yeah, I'm gonna let that dry up, and gonna hit it with some more. We'll keep whacking on it. Tea cookies. Yeah, I'm gonna add some more to this now that it's dried a bit. And actually use the thinner brush, my Simmons brush. I'm going to go ahead and add another bit to the edge. You end up doing lots and lots of layers if you want it to look good. So I'm just going to hit this area here. I'm going to add a few more of these little puckers for the nooks. Add another layer to that. Cookie, cookie, cookie. So who likes chocolate chip cookies? I know I do. What I plan to do also, as soon as this dries again, is we're going to take some pencil crayons and going to add some more textures to it. It's something that I did, like I said, with the kids at the after-school program. So it looks good. There we go. Just going to add a bit more to the edges. So I want it to sort of raise up a bit, kind of like I have right here. It's a nice version of it. There we go. Nice. Nice. Now also I'm going to add some crumbs. Just basically some little dots off and around. Notice I'm just coming back and forth to that same big drop that I have. It's a neat little technique. Like I said, what I'm learning with this is working with tea is not exactly like working with watercolor paint or really any other medium that I've ever tried to use. So a lot of learning going in. I'm just adding this stuff to help with it, to give it a level of realism. These will all dry into little, they look like little sticky crumbs. A couple of the kids actually got into flicking their brushes to make it, make the crumbs. Me personally, I liked this approach much better. And like I said, these are all going to dry and form basically nice little crumbs. And then what's going to happen is, like I said, once I've let this dry again, I'm going to go in and do what I'm doing right now. Just over and over again. Mostly I'll be focusing in and around this area too, where there really isn't a lot of it. You know, a lot of the tea will pool here and there, and you want that. Like I said, with what I plan to do with the pencil crayon will definitely help bring out a lot of these nooks and crannies that I'm trying to do, and will also add to the shade. Alright, that's looking pretty good. Might have to let this sit and dry again. Yeah, it's looking like it's about done. So we're gonna let the cookies dry. More layers on my cookies. So yeah, I'm gonna add another layer of these little nooks and crannies that we've been trying to reproduce. So I'm gonna put a few of these little drips and dots. In this part, a lot of it's not going to show up. Most of the tea has been absorbed in the paper, so what we're trying to do is just darken a few of the spots, so when I go in with my pencil crayon, I can basically highlight certain areas and make it pop. So I'm just going to put in some more tea drops, let them absorb into the paper. You'll notice how much quicker they absorb as opposed to like one right here. Look how that stays up there. That'll stay on the surface of the page for quite a while. Whereas when you put it on the tea, the already laid down tea, it tends to, like I said, unless these lighter spots, but these darker ones, it'll splay out and absorb quicker. I am sure there is a scientific reason for that, but I do not know what it is. I am just a simple drawer of pictures. Not trained in any actual way. I'm one of those weirdos that actually failed art in high school. Not for lack of, well, yeah, for lack of trying. A good artist, I could draw. I've always, as long as I've been on this earth, I have a problem with authority and discipline. Not like personal discipline. I can discipline myself fine, but when other people tell me to do something, there's a way about it. My wife has figured it out, but most other folks haven't. I can be tricked into doing all kinds of things. I won't give away the secret. But anyways, yeah, So there we go. That's going to be the final layer of my tea on top of these cookies. I am then going to go ahead and once that dries again, I'm going to be adding a layer of pencil crayon with, I got some Prismacolors over here. So we're going to be using some of these to sort of bring out some of the realism in these cookies and add an area there that I can shade in. Alright, so now I've got this all dried up. Nice. I've added about 3 or 4 layers of tea, and now I've got my Prismacolor pencil crayons, and I got myself a dark brown, a black, and a sienna. Those are the 3 that I'm going to use to try to, well, you'll see. I'm going to do an outer layer here. I'm going to take my pencil crayon and we're going to just sort of darken this a little bit here. It'll, I find that it helps bring the cookie out, if you will. I like Prismacolor pencil crayons. They're not bad. I think I have, I don't have the softest version. I think it's somewhere in the middle. You can get them of a different hardness, the lead. So, depending on what you're looking for and how you're planning to use it. So right now, all I am doing is doing an outside level with my my dark brown. I was going to use a regular brown, but it doesn't seem to darken quite as well. That's one of the things that I don't like about the Prismacolor. While the browns are nice and they go well with like skin tones and whatnot, I really don't like them for trying to recreate woods and other stuff like that, because it's just not dark enough. But here we go. So I'm going to go ahead and add basically a light layer here, just going under the one side, just like this. Not too much. I'm not going to go very dark. It's just a sort of back and forth, back and forth. What's happening is because we're using watercolor paper, or I am, I don't know what you would be using at home, or if you're participating or just listening. Either way, it helps all these little nooks and crannies in here on the paper. Helped when you're adding the pencil crayon if you use it lightly. What I'm also going to do is go back and forth and just sort of add some of these little layers here, right in here, especially in the area where the tea kind of pooled together and didn't quite go the way I'd hoped it would. So yeah, I'm just going to try to make it as realistic as possible. The one thing with this activity is something I don't normally do, is I normally have a reference picture off to the side. I don't have any cookies off to the side, or pictures of cookies. I'm just going with, you know, all the years of cookie eating. I'm using my mind, my memory. There we go. I'm going to actually switch to the sienna here. This will bring a nice little reddish highlight to it. Not much. All I'm looking to do is just, like I said, add a bit of a layer here. You can see where the shading from the other cookie would have tumbled over. I'm actually going to go back and hit that with the brown again. You know, with this, I'm just going by feel and how it looks. Not really focusing too much on, you know, trying to make it look exactly perfect, like making sure all my chips are lined up, because quite often, you know, a chocolate chip cookie is, even though they're uniformly shaped usually, they tend to have a certain look to them, and it changes slightly. So here we go. I'm also going to go ahead and add some more nook and crannies in here, right around here. Maybe use a light back and forth cross hatching where you go one way and then come back and go on an angle. I like doing that, especially with the pencil crayons, you know, and even just my pencil leads, my graphite. That's looking good. Going to go ahead and get the dark brown again, and we're going to hit this area a bit more. There we go. Nice. So I'm happy with that. That's not too bad. Like I said, just you want to smooth stuff out, go back and forth, nothing too heavy because you've already laid down the base with the tea. Next up, I'm gonna start laying in some of my chocolate chips. So I'm using my black here. I know chips in general tend to be brown, but we've got the brown already laid down, and I'm just gonna throw in some chips here. So yeah, some of the kids at the after-school program wanted to do chocolate chunks. So if you're at home and you would like to throw some of the square chunks in there, like you see in the chunky cookies, go right ahead. Alright, I'm also going to add a little line here where the shading comes around. There we go, just darkening up that brown slightly, not too much. Alright, add a few chips over here. One thing I might do as well is we might even bring in some watercolor paint. Why not? And we'll throw a little bit on top of these cookies, make them glisten, like maybe a light amount of white, tiny bit of it. Alright, so I'm just throwing in my chips, making this look as chocolate chippy as possible, doing justice, making it so if the Cookie Monster were here, C is for cookie, he would be tempted to eat these cookies. He would not be holding back, and he would be confused because they're on a page. Last, I'm going to add a little bit of shading underneath here, just to bring it out a bit, also in here, so those chips will kind of stick out there. There we go. Nice. Not too much. Just a bit. There's some lines here. And go back and forth, back and forth. Yeah. Like that. It's not too bad. Maybe bring it up a little lighter and add a little bit on this side. Because with this drawing, obviously the light's coming down onto this side here, sort of above. So this part of the cookie is going to be covered slightly, as well as this side. Alright, there we go. Not bad, like that. Alright, I'm going to actually go back. I'm going to smooth some of this out with my dark brown. That's the one thing that I do like about these Prismacolor pencils is they're very nice for smoothing stuff. They're much smoother than your standard store-bought dollar store ones, I guess, or even the I'm not sure the names, Laurentia and all that stuff. I've tried many different kinds, and I don't mind these ones. If I were to pick a pencil crayon, Prismacolor would be it. But I did this with just regular pencil crayons with the kids at the after-school program, so they work just as well. Alright, so there we go. I got that. Now I'm going to actually go ahead and just add a little bit of paint to this. Got my watercolor paint over here. I should have had it ready, but, well, I guess I wasn't ready, really. Get yourself a little bit of water and mix it up here. Not going to need much, just a little bit to highlight some of the areas. So I'm mixing it off camera here. You can see I just got my little watercolor tray. I like to buy the tubes and mix it myself. I don't use a puck or a template type of stuff. Alright, let's see if this will work. That's good. I just need a bit more water in there. There we go, that's nice. That'll highlight to these chips so they pop off the page. You can glisten. Alrighty. If you don't have watercolor paint, I mean, you could use whiteout for this. You could use anything that's white and liquidy that will, once dried, will stay white. I mean, we could use a white pencil crayon, but it's not going to work as well. It'll get smudged into the black that's already been laid down. So when that dries, it'll be a little lighter than what you're seeing there. And that is pretty much my realistic cookies using tea. Now I'm going to sign it like all good artists. Back up a little bit so we can see it right down here. Put my name. Do. Always sign your work, kids. Always sign your work. And date it. There we go. Hope you guys like this video. Hope you joined along. Don't forget to like the video itself. Subscribe. And you can always check me out on Facebook. Links are posted. Anyways, Dredfunn out.
This has been a Dredfunn.com production. Thanks for watching.